Speaking of storms and engineered weather and things like that, which certainly it's looking like the whole Texas flood was engineered to some degree, or at least as a result of the weather being engineered, whether directly or indirectly. Lee Zeldin releases information on contrails and solar geoengineering. Yes, this came out earlier in the week. Mr. Dane, when I spoke to him, was livid about this whole thing, as he should be. And needless to say, he doesn't like Mr. Zeldin too much. And he actually put out a post about that earlier in the week. So see Geoengineering Watch about that. Actually, I think I pulled that article up, so we'll look at that. So this article comes from Breitbart, I guess. The EPA, which is the Environmental Pollution Agency, that's what I call them, Administrator Lee Zeldin revealed that the agency had released online resources regarding geoengineering and contrails, explaining that the EPA is committed to total transparency. You know, when they say that it's committing to total transparency, you get nothing but a whitewash. You get nothing but about as much fog in your vision as possible. That's just my 2 cents worth here. Zeldin revealed in a video announcement that everything the EPA knows about contrails to solar geoengineering would be found in the online resources, adding that anyone who reads through this information will know as much as we do about these topics, which is basically zero. Very little. So yeah, they're calling it a conspiracy theory, and it doesn't exist, and you're crazy, just as you might expect. So even though you've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in there, who has literally interviewed Dane Wigington before and talks about wanting to stop geoengineering that is ongoing, that is global, that is certainly happening in a big way over the United States. He talks about wanting to stop that. And then here you have Trump's EPA pick here, Lee Zeldin, saying, no, it doesn't exist and you're nuts. You're a conspiracy theorist. But they're going to be totally transparent with us. And this is the video. Let me see how long it is here. Let me just play a second of it. Okay, here. Well, let's just play it.
And important questions about geoengineering and contrails. The American public deserves and expects honesty and transparency from their government when seeking answers. But for years, people who asked questions in good faith were dismissed, even vilified by the media and their own government. That era is over. The Trump EPA is committed to total transparency. As a result, I tasked my team at EPA to compile a list of everything we know about contrails and geoengineering for the purpose of releasing it to you now publicly. In other words, I want you to know everything I know about these topics, and without any exception. Instead of simply dismissing these questions and concerns as baseless conspiracies, we're meeting them head on. We did the legwork, looked at the science, consulted agency experts, and pulled in relevant outside information to put these online resources together. Everything we know about contrails to solar geoengineering will be in there. That means anyone who reads through this information will know as much about these topics as I do as EPA administrator. To anyone who's ever looked up to the streaks in the sky and asked, what the heck is going on? Or seen headlines about private actors and even governments looking to blot out the sun in the name of stopping global warming, we've endeavored to answer all of your questions at the links on your screen. In fact, EPA shares many of the same concerns when it comes to potential threats to human health and the environment, especially from solar geoengineering activities. The enthusiasm for experiments that would pump pollutants into the high atmosphere has set off alarm bells here at the Trump EPA. Prior to now, EPA has never been this proactive to raise awareness about concerns with geoengineering and to stop this activity from being scaled up. This is what it looks like when government actually listens to the will of the people and doesn't try to squash it. You can always trust this administration and this EPA to take your concerns seriously, answer your questions honestly, and carry out the will of voters with integrity.
That's right. It will be as clear as mud. I think that's the old saying. It'll be as clear as mud, yes. Well, anyways, that's his official statement here. And you will know everything he knows about solar geoengineering. Well, it's probably not very much. So Mr. Dane here says on geoengineeringwatch.org earlier in the week, after Lee Zeldin put out that video that we just watched, EPA head Zeldin is engaged in a pitiful attempt at damage control due to the rapidly growing awareness of the weather warfare raging in our skies. Zeldin's first pathetic attempt to pretend he and the U.S. government were going to address the constant geoengineering jet spraying assault in our skies was to scapegoat two IT publicity stunt actors from Silicon Valley that started a facade geoengineering startup company called Make Sunsets. What exactly did the Make Sunsets PR actors do? They launched a few balloons in Baja California and Nevada, balloons with a few grams of SO2 tied to the bottom, which is virtually meaningless. Now Zeldin is reading his carefully crafted script, claiming he is going to prove total transparency in regard to our government's knowledge of geoengineering. Really, Mr. Zeldin? Should we consider the Epstein files as an example of your definition of total transparency? I like that. The curtain is coming down on the criminal cabal that has long since been masquerading as the U.S. government. Political parties are irrelevant in this equation. Climate engineering, weather warfare, geoengineering must be fully exposed and halted. Time's not on our side. So there's the same video we just watched here. Actually, it's slightly different. Dane added a little bit to that. But anyway, we kind of covered it in that article, but I just wanted to point that out, that this came out earlier in the week. And yes, more total transparency, just like Epstein.